Hello, everybody. This is Keisha Lacey with the Random Horror Show, and I have a guest for you. And of course, thank you all for joining me, where we just have like this random chit chat, just being in horror, science fiction, fantasy, and cult classics. Also, with our literature TV shows and our wonderful random guests. So I have a guest for y'all. I met her last month at the Texas Author Con, and she is a hoot, honey. She is a hoot, baby, from the state of Texas, the Lone Star State right here. All right now. She is a Shirley Jackson Award nominated, and also a Stoker Award nominated, or did you win a Stoker Award?
No, I was nominated a couple of times though. Oh yes,
A
I'm still waiting to
nominated for.
win. I'm still working on a
Okay,
win.
okay. The one and only RJ Joseph or Rhonda, wh-
Yes, Rhonda,
whatever
either
you
is
go.
fine. Yes, I'm every woman. Like Shaka say, I'm every woman.
I'm every woman. It's all
It's
in
all in
me.
me, just like that. Thank you so much for
Oh,
having me. I'm so happy that we met. Like it's so much fun to meet somebody that your energy matches, and I mean we both are Southern and we understand each other and we love horror. Like how much better can it get than all that, right?
yes, yes, yes. And thank you for being on the Random Horror Show. Oh my gosh. You were, I know we had our pre-talk and stuff, child. I'm telling you, I'm gonna tell you, I ain't gonna make it through this show. But you gonna have me giggling. Oh Lord have mercy. All right. This is probably gonna be the one episode I don't be doing a lot of cussing. I'm gonna have to fool. But
Yes,
I'm
yes.
like,
I don't know.
I'm
I
like,
don't know. I don't know what might pop off. We don't know.
you
We'll just have to
never
see. I
know.
see. We gotta
You,
see.
you never. So, ma'am, Miss Lady, Miss Wonderful RJ Joseph, please introduce yourself to the audience. Let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Oh, what I do, I write stuff. So I make up stuff for a living. And I mean, like, really, it can't get much better than that, right? I've been writing for a pretty long time. And so I write, I'm a creative and academic writer. So, I write essays, I write short stories, I write screenplays, I write poems I'm still working. I'm trying to get better at poetry, but I'm a quick study, so I'm still studying that. But I write some of everything. I started out as a romance writer. I know that's really something, right? Yeah, I started as a romance writer, but in my MFA program, I was writing romance. But then I met the horror writers, and they was like, "Are you sure you're not one of us?" And so, of course, I'm like, well, I mean, I am one of y'all. And so the horror just kind of took off after that. Because when I first got published in horror, it just was not a big thing, especially being a Southern Black woman to be
Yeah.
writing that, this spooky stuff. So, but I had my first horror published in 1993, long, long time ago. So I've been here and I ain't going nowhere. This is what I do. This is my lane. I'm going to stay in my lane.
I know that's real. I know that's real right there. But yes, of course, I had to do my research. But that is very interesting that you started off doing romance. Like,
Mhm.
what made you get into like romance? And then I know what you said, like the horror people, like, hey, you one of us.
Yeah. Well, so it was just hard, like right. So growing up, I was just this
Mhm.
weird little kid. I was weird. I was a little girl, and I grew up, excuse me, Southern Baptist, right? So we know how that works. You're in church, right? And so, I was always asking all the wrong questions and to want to talk about the wrong stuff, and so it just wasn't acceptable really for me to want to write horror. So I always did that kind of behind the scenes, right? So when I started
Mhm.
writing romance, I was oh my gosh, me and my friends in middle school had the biggest crushes on New Edition. So it was okay for us to write fan fiction romance where we just talking about doing this and that. We so in love with them. And I mean, so the romance, it was just acceptable, right? Especially at a
Yeah.
certain age, once you get to be old. But always, I always had the creepy stories. I was always writing them. I just didn't think about sending them out. You know, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna
Mm-hmm.
keep these for myself. And then I got pregnant with my oldest kid. And when
Mm-hmm.
I say them hormones made just blew my mind with the horror, and I was having nightmares, even more so than usual. I didn't know what to do with all that, so I wrote it out. And the first story I got published that was a horror story was from a nightmare that I had when I was pregnant. So I would just kind of publish horror here and there. When I went to go
Mm-hmm.
do my MFA, I was thinking, ooh, I want to write historical romance like Beverly Jenkins. Okay, but can't nobody write like Beverly Jenkins. Can't nobody write like Queen Bev, right? But I was like, maybe I could do that. I even met her a couple of times and she was always so supportive. She was like, oh yeah, well, let me know. I hope that works out for you. So I get into the program and I'm like, oh, I don't know about this historical romance. I don't know. But here's this horror story. And once I figured out that I could use like for my workshops, it was a low residency program. So we would
Mm-hmm.
do most of the work online and then go to residencies twice a year. When I figured out that I could bring horror stories to the workshops and fulfill the requirements, oh, it was all over. I only brought horror because I was like, I already had my romance novel being looked at by my mentors. So I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
want somebody to look at this horror stuff. And once the horror writers, they claim me so fast. They claim me so fast. They were like, you want us. And that's what I was like, you know what? It might be time to come from out of my basement now. I can come out the attic. I can write in public. I can write horror in public now. It might be okay for me to do that.
Oh wow, that is so awesome. Just that transition from romance and then historical romance and then
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, and it's not so my horror has a whole lot of romantic elements in it. So
mm-hmm.
I'll tell a love story real fast, but it's like a creepy girl love story. It's not a romance love story, right? And so
Yeah.
I still have, I mean, like I still have ideas and manuscripts, in romance, but I need to wait till the tide change. Seems like the readers right now, they want romantic comedy. So I gotta wait until they go back to wanting darker stuff because I don't
Yeah.
write paranormal romance, but it's kind of heavy. So I just need to wait till the tide turn. I keep saying I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna write both. I'm gonna do both. But what's really happening is I have all these horror stories that have all this love stuff in it. So I mean, it's a good match. It's a good match. I think they work well together.
Awesome. Awesome. So this book right here we're gonna talk about, and this is a title right here. Hell has no sorrow like a woman haunted. Child, tell
Yeah.
us how you get that title and give us just a brief synopsis what that is all about.
Okay, well, so I'm okay. I'm one of those writers that usually is really good with titles. I can come up
Mm-hmm.
with a title in my head and go, "Oh, that's amazing. That's what this is gonna be called." My
Mm-hmm.
problem is then I have to make sure that what is in this under the title actually matches with it, right? So when
Right.
I thought I'm a short story writer, so I have this whole like just pile of short stories just
Mm-hmm.
laying around, and I would send them out. They'd be published, and I had a couple that hadn't ever been published because I'm always writing. And I ran into, I asked a fellow writer, Gabino Iglesias, who is also a phenomenal horror writer. Oh my gosh, he is writing this stuff right now that is like this supernatural thriller type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, when I say just brilliant. Well, I had invited him to my campus to keynote at this academic conference that I was holding on campus. And he made
Mm-hmm.
me look so good. Oh, he made me look so good in front of my bosses because he talks so pretty and has so much good stuff to say. And so then afterwards, you're doing a chit chat. He's like, "Well, what are you working on?" And of course, this is the thing that writers don't really want you to ask them. They do, but they don't. And so I was like, "Well,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I have like these stories and maybe I'll put together a collection." And so he
Yeah.
looked at me dead in my face. He said, "You should do that." And sure enough, brother was in my DMs. Do you hear me a couple of weeks later talking about, hey sis, how's that collection coming? I was like, oh wait, so I'm really supposed to do it. Okay. Baby, he kept me honest. Do you hear me? He was like, every time I
Okay.
would see him, or even he was like, yeah, how's that collection coming? I'm like, okay, I'm really gonna do it. He's like, okay, if you do it, I'll blurb it. And of course, once he said that, I was like, okay, I really gotta do it. Okay, I really gotta do
Mhm.
it now. So I pulled the stories. I had the title. I pulled the stories together. I was like, these kind of match,
Mhm.
thematically. They kind of match. So let me put these together, and I'm gonna send it out. I think I sent it out to 3 publishers. So it was kind of
Mhm.
crazy because the first publisher was like, I really like it, but we just don't have the space, right? They're a small publisher. They only put out so many, titles. And I was like, okay, cool, that's no problem. I sent it to this other one that's real, oh man, I don't know how to describe Clash books. Like I love reading their stuff, but they are really like hardcore. They like this rock and roll kind of, they had this whole vibe to them, right? And I was like, okay, I was dead wrong for sending this to them because I love reading that stuff, the stuff they publish, and I know good and well this not gonna work. So I was trying to figure out like how do I say that though? I already sent it to you. How can I just say, I'm sorry, I sent you something that I know is not gonna work out? I'm like, that's kind of dumb. But thankfully, I sent it to the publisher that took it, who is also a small
Mhm.
publishing house, the Seventh Terrace. And I mean,
Mhm.
she might have had it for a couple of hours. When that
Mhm.
first half of their publishing and editorial team emailed me, she was like, listen, consider yourself long listed or short listed already. She's like, I
Mhm.
love this. I've already read the first 3 stories. And I'm going, oh my gosh, I just sent it though. And you already read it. That she loved it. And she loved it all the way through. She says, I need to talk to my partner about it. It literally only took, well, see, then I had an excuse to go back to Clash
Mhm.
with. And I was like, oh, hey, so I'm just going to withdraw it. Thank you. And then I didn't have to explain that I shouldn't have sent it in the first place, right? And they're so cool. I've met Christoph from over there. I mean, they're so cool. He
Mhm.
and his whole, entourage and all. I mean, he was like, yeah, no harm, no foul. But I was so happy that I didn't have to explain why I was
Yeah.
withdrawing it, right? So Seven Terrace gave me the excuse. But they loved it. And when I say they were totally behind it. And that's the thing that I really appreciated was that it was I didn't have to wonder if they liked it.
Mhm.
They loved it. And so
That's
going through
good.
growing through the edits, I mean, they were so professional, and I'd only heard good things from other writers that worked with them. So they was the
Mhm.
perfect house that I needed to be with to put this baby out. Because it is one of those story collections where I'm used to it because I wrote it. It's not until I
Mhm.
start reading the stories out loud or somebody else come to me and say, man, you had your foot in our throat like the whole time. So it's not until
Nice.
somebody else say that or then I'm reading it out loud where I go, oh, it's it's kind of a lot. The stories, they're very intense. So it's 24
Mhm.
short stories, and they kind of they span, in topic. I mean, but mostly these are haunted women. So they're either haunting themselves, they're haunted by mistakes, other things that have happened, and the stories are told through the lens of Black female experiences. So it was really important to me to make that happen because I was like, man, listen, I've been a Black girl my whole life. And when I tell you some stuff is horrifying, like some of the stuff we were talking about before we came on the recording, right? I'm like, being a Black
Mhm.
girl, it's wonderful. It's full of joy, but it can also be terrifying. And I wanted to tell those stories.
Yes, yes. And that's like another thing is that you focus like on the horror and also Black women, their
Mm-hmm.
femininity and the stories that all of us can tell. I
Yes.
mean, if it's similar, if it's exact, or if it's a little different, it's just something. It's oh Lord have mercy. Oh Lord, I'm just getting chills just thinking about this shit. God, no, cause
Yes.
baby, it is. It's so wonderful to be a just Black girl magic and just be a
Yes.
beautiful Black woman. but
Yes,
then we come with our tales of like horror, and then when we tell people or something that's out of our lives that really
mhm,
is so traumatic,
yes,
it gets dismissed. Or, oh, did that
exactly,
really did happen? Oh,
exactly,
what made you did you what made you cause that? All of that
exactly.
shit.
Exactly. And that's I read the statistic some years ago that
Hmm.
and a lot of times I use these kind of sources, when I'm doing my academic work. But one thing that's always broken my heart, I read the statistic that said that by the age of 18, 1 out of 6 Black girls will be molested or sexually assaulted by before they're 18. And when I say 1 out of 6, like
Hmm.
1 out of 6, every of us. And when I'm talking to other Black women and they're like, yes, me, yes, this, I'm like,
Me.
you can't tell me, you can't tell me that that is not a horrifying experience. And you
It
can't tell
is.
me that even though every Black woman, because again, there's the 5 out of 6 that miss it, thankfully, but there's this one
Hmm.
out of six. And then I see other statistics to show how Black girls are seen to be more adult than they really are. And this is across the board from outside our community and within our community. And I'm like, so you mean to tell me that we got to fight in the house? We got to fight at the house. We got to fight at the job. We got to fight at the hospital, the doctor's office. We got to fight at the schoolhouse. We got to fight for our kids. We have to fight at the nursing home. We have to fight at the church. We have to fight all the time. And that's horrific. That is
It's
horrifying. That
and
is
it's tiring.
and it's exhausting. So
It
I
is.
thought, the thing about horror is you're supposed to write about things that are uncomfortable. You're supposed to write
Hmm.
about stuff that's scary. You're supposed to write about stuff that's unsettling. And these experiences to me, they are all of that. They're all of that. So like we need to be heard. I want to tell these stories. I do catch a tiny bit of flack for writing about trauma and things like that. But I always tell people when we're talking about it, I'm like, well, they say, well, why is this what you want people to know about Black women's lives? And I'm like, well, first of all, this is horror. If you wanted like
Hmm.
rainbow kitties and unicorns, this ain't for you. This ain't where you need to be. I'm gonna need you to kind of go down the street around the corner. So first of all, this is horror, and I thought it was the perfect genre to talk about
Hmm.
these things. And you're uncomfortable because I put the trauma on the page? You're uncomfortable because I did not pull punches and I went like
Hmm.
balls to the wall? You're uncomfortable? Good. That was the point. The point
Right,
is,
right.
you should be horrified. You should be nervous. You should be scared. That's kind of what we do here, right? So I'm not here to write about, just everything is great and wonderful. Like, don't get me wrong. I also like to write about the Black girls winning. And so a lot of the stories have this
Hmm.
happening, right? And we gonna win. Even if we can kill the monster. Sometimes I gotta beat a monster, but whatever it is, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be okay. So and I think that it helped me too though, because
Hmm.
I do write this whole collection is from a Black female perspective, and I think that that's helpful in that I'm not trying to take an easy way out and just say there's any one enemy, right? Like, I'm not gonna say, oh, we hate men, so men are gonna be the enemy here, or we hate people of other races and ethnicities, they're gonna be the monster here. No, I think that sometimes we can be the monster. I think sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. Sometimes. So sometimes we got to
Yeah.
get out our own way. So that's a whole part of our life. That's a part of our stories. And I'm excited if somebody says that they never experienced this stuff. I'm like, good for you. You've had a wonderful life. This is great. How
Yeah,
I
exactly.
ever have seen these horrific things happen. I have had these
Mhm.
monstrous things happen, and this is a good vehicle to talk about that stuff.
Right.
I want it to be terrifying. That's the point.
I love it. I love it. Uh, Particularly about like how stories about, with Black women, you have some authors that always try to write a Black woman character, it's either two-dimensional, it's too
Mm-hmm.
stereotypical,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
just very shallow,
Yes.
and and it's not giving, like, and I'm just like, why do they write? I was like, oh, they ain't never been around Black people, especially Black women. And
Right.
and we still have like that negative image. We're changing our image. We're doing the best to change our image and everything.
Yes. Yes.
Um, everybody think that, oh, just a strong Black woman. And I'm like, bitch, I'm fucking
Okay.
soft.
I
I'm
get tired
soft.
of being strong. Okay. Let me lean a little bit sometime. I don't want to be always have to
Baby,
be the strong one. No. Let the monster come
baby,
after me. I'm gonna run and scream and holler just like everybody else. Okay.
yes, I'ma run, scream, and holler. I'm not gonna do no white woman fall and everything else, but I'm gonna be
No,
running.
honey. We got to go. We got to go. I mean, sometimes I'm scared of stuff too.
Yes, yes. I mean, I ain't like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and everything. I'm gonna let you be
No.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, sir,
Okay,
whoever you are.
unless you come after my babies. Now you come after my
That's a
babies,
different
then
story.
that's a whole other story. You
That's a
bother my
different story.
mama, my husband, mine, my folks. Oh, see, now we got some problems. Okay, but otherwise,
Hmm.
no. If my family say we all running,
We running. You know how what they always say, like, if you see like a group of Black people run, we're gonna start running and
we
we
gonna
ain't gonna
start
ask
running.
no questions.
No,
We're
ask
gonna
no
start running.
questions.
I
None.
I
Ask no
I'm
question.
like that. I
Here
ain't
a
trying to
place.
figure out
Nope.
what's
What's the?
that? What's
I
going
I don't
on?
need to
No.
know. No, maybe I'll find out after we get through running from afar. When we get a far ways away, maybe we'll figure this out. But for right now, I'm just running. Y'all running, I'm running too. I'm not getting last because that's the one that get eaten by the monster when you last.
That's the one. That's the one. Oops, sorry, you got ate by the monster. Well, I'm
Yes,
about
nope, I
20
can't be
yards
last.
away.
No, that's the ones running around talking about what's that noise? It don't matter. It don't even matter. Let's just go.
Where she go? She left.
I don't know. Pew, down the rope. I'm
Just
done. It's over.
pew.
No, I don't watch too many of these things go down, baby. I know how that happened.
It,
The one that stick around,
uh-uh.
that's the one. That's the one.
You ain't gotta tell me twice, fam. I'm gone.
No,
You
it's
know,
done.
but
It's a
we,
wrap.
but we, it is, but we do, and you still have like people that still think of us as like a monolith, and knowing that we have emotions, we have feelings, and
Sure.
everything else, and they always want to try to dehumanize us. And I'm like, yo, we human. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We come from different backgrounds to
Yes.
economic, income, statuses. You're in academia. I dropped out of college at a junior,
Exactly.
but still, we still are different people.
Yes, we
But
are
we
different.
still, yeah, we different people, but like, it's things that you have written in your short stories and your books and stuff. Because I've been like sitting there looking. I was like, okay, she writing this right here. Okay, well, that right there. But we still have like, the same type of terror and horror that has happened in our lives. It may not be sexual assault. It may be,
Sure.
narcissistic abuse.
Sure.
Abandonment, things like that. You may
Exactly.
have emotionally, dysfunctional, shut down parents and stuff like that. I mean,
Exactly.
and for those,
Yes.
like you said, for those who have not experienced none of that,
Yay.
yes.
Good for,
And
I'm
I'm
happy
like,
for
I'm
you.
glad you did not experience that, because baby, I don't want that for you.
Right, exactly. And sometimes I was noticing that a lot of these stories we just don't see. So, like, I want to
Hmm.
write about like the poor Black women, because class is a thing too. Like, we don't read a
Yes.
lot, we don't have a lot of stuff. I mean, it can be poor and urban, but I'm like, being from Houston, right? Like, that's, and you will know exactly what I'm talking about when I say this. People get confused when I say to them, it's the most rural big city that I've ever experienced. So even though it's the
Mhm.
big city, you still got livestock in the city limits. We got cowboys riding horses around 610. I mean, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so when we talk about, yeah, it's urban. So I'm not just talking about hood stuff. I'm talking about country stuff. We're talking about country ghetto. See, that's a whole other thing. And I feel like these stories need to be told. So when I start writing about this country ghetto woman that's got regrets coming back to life, I don't, when people say I can't relate, I'm like, what can you not relate to? Have you never done anything that you regretted? Like, it's, we're talking about monsters. It's fiction. Like, it's not necessarily any one person that I ever met or
Mhm.
knew. This lady is like a she could be just somebody that I plucked out of the air, because I'm like, her story needs to be told. And so
Mhm.
I would like to see these things. I want to read historical horror about black
Mhm.
women, you know, who are doing something other than experience enslavement. Right? Like, I understand that slavery happened. It's a thing. It was a thing, and it's still, we still
Mhm.
dealing with it now. But at the same time, every single, even if a black woman was enslaved, what could her life have been like though? What about if I tell this story from her viewpoint? Like, let's talk about this. One of the
Right.
stories in this collection, I specifically wanted to talk about the left hand wives that they used to talk
Mhm.
about, like in Louisiana era, right? Like, so you had these black girls who were from, a little bit more upper class families or whatnot, and their parents kind of married them off in these what they call left hand marriages to white men that had money, and so they would have a
Mhm.
legal wife who was white usually, where they had legal
Mhm.
kids with them, but then they also
Yes.
had with this left hand wife. And so, and somebody asked me once, well, what made you want to write about that? I said, well, it's the fact of the matter is, this was one of the only ways that at that time that black women could experience any kind of freedom. So if you were
Mhm.
a man's left hand wife, you likely had a townhome of your own that he might deed to
Mhm.
you, that you could will off to your children. So you and your children were taken care of. No, you were not necessarily legally recognized, but that's just how it was done. And so sometimes you have to sacrifice these things, right? You could either not marry at all. You could marry, not into money. You could marry into money and share your husband with somebody else who's actually legally married to him, right? But for some black women, that was the only way that they could get this freedom, this agency. And that's what I want to write about. I want to write about, yeah, these things weren't easy. It wasn't happy. It was not a thing that was always able to be done, with
Mhm.
any kind of positivity. But at the same time, at the end of the light, they were just working towards any kind of freedom. And sometimes you
Right.
have to work with what you got to get what you want. So I want to write about those women too. I want to write about all the women. I want to write about all the women I've experienced, I've seen, I've met. I want to write about all the women that's just inside of me. Goodness.
Oh, you a trip. But yeah, that happened a lot down there in Louisiana, and that's factual that
Yeah.
that you had like the white man that had the white wife and his family, and then you had the black wife, and they wasn't
Yes.
recognized, but she had a
Yes.
home, they had kids, and
Yes.
and then you and
Yes.
then people wonder why, like, oh, wow, we have the same last name. Maybe you need to look at your ancestry down the line and stuff and everything,
Yes.
because your great great grandpa had this wife right here with the white side, and then
Yes.
the black side and everything. That's the reason why
Yes.
y'all both got them names and stuff. Y'all do that ancestor DNA 23 me right there, baby.
Yes,
Y'all
that is
can.
exactly,
You can.
exactly, exactly, exactly. And so, I mean, and we don't always get these stories, right? And especially not in
Mm-hmm.
horror, because you have that backdrop of this thing that's terrifying, but at the root of it is a woman that's just trying to do the best she can. There's parents that's
Yeah.
trying to do the best they can for their daughter. She's trying to do the best she can for any children she might have. I mean, and for herself. And so, of course, if you tell it with the backdrop of, it just so happens that the man that they married her off to was like, somewhat of a monster, like literally. I mean, okay, that's the horror. That's more horror, right? And
Right.
that makes a difficult situation even scarier, right? Because I'm like, it's bad enough that I just got to be married out to this dude I don't know nothing about. But now you got to tell me that, wait, okay, so he's like really like a demon or a creature or something. Ah!
Oh Lord, they usually show themselves like within 3 to 4 weeks and stuff that they a demon. And it's like, oh Lord, I should have exercised you and stuff. It's like here, you should have had this Florida water right here. You should have
Exactly.
carried with you. Put in your purse.
Exactly. I mean, and tell me that that's not like that horror is not perfect for this, because this is an allegory, right? This is an actual like
Mhm.
comparison. Like literally, this lady's betrothed ended up being a literal monster. But there's so many of us that ends up with these people that are human monsters. And so this is a
Mhm.
part of our story. Now, do they end up, like breeding us like litters, like puppies after we're already dead? Well, no, that only happens in horror. But like in real life scary stuff, a lot of us we're bred to these people in these abusive relationships, or
Mhm.
we are born in poverty. We having our children, we don't have enough money to take
Mhm.
care of them. We're having to, we're subject to the system and these processes that are set up to not always help us out. I mean, and so
Right.
this is layers of terrifying stuff. And of course, if
Mhm.
I'm throwing monsters and ghosts in there, right, then we say, well, it's fiction, but there's so much of it that's really based in real life situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, One writer that always, and of course it's been turned into a movie, and I read the
Hmm.
book, and I know you have read it, The Color Purple. And
Oh my
that is
goodness,
like that
yes,
is a horror movie for just black women back
it,
in the I was just like,
yes, it is. It is. And my mama, okay, so my mama, she's a little, she's the typical Southern Baptist lady,
mhm.
Southern Baptist church lady. She clutches her pearls. She just turned 75 last week. So I mean, I love my mama. Well, we
Oh,
gotta
happy
think
birthday to
about.
her.
Yes, I would tell her that. We have to watch what we taking her to the movies to go watch, right? So when the Color Purple
Mhm.
remake came out, my sister and I started talking about it. We're like, okay, we can take Mama. I think she'll be able to take that one because they actually put a slightly more positive spin on it. I did not
Mhm.
find that rendition to be nearly as terrifying as the book or the first
Mhm.
version. Like they actually made
Mhm.
Mr. a little more of a sympathetic kind of character in this last remake. He was more simple because in that first one when Danny Glover played him, oh no. Oh no, baby. I could hardly see him in anything else but not seeing Mister. I'm like, I know it's just a character, but you played that too well, man. Too well. So this guy, Coleman Domingo, he actually
Uh-huh.
elicited a little bit of sympathy, right? Because he seemed to try to come to reckon with, okay, I wasn't a good person to you. Let me try to make this better. So I felt like it was a little less horrific, but I know how the story really went. So I'm with you. That is horror all day long. It's
That
horror,
is
the abuse, what oh, I can't think of the name of the character that got beat and put in jail. I cannot think of her name right offhand. That was
Miss
horror.
Sophia.
Miss
Miss
Sophie.
Sophia.
Oh, that was horrific. It was horrific that these young babies was having babies for these old men. And it was horrific that they had to take care of those kids at that young age. Like, can you imagine?
Mhm.
Like, I love my babies and I love being a mommy. But if I had to do this when I was a baby too, I don't think we would have made it. We wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have made
Yeah.
it.
My daughter and I, we was talking about The Color Purple. And we just kind of like dissected a little bit and everything, and especially with Celie's stepfather, where she thought it
Uh-huh.
was her father, in the movie. And
Yes.
she had the two kids ball.
Yes.
And she was like, yeah, because she said, because he looked at Nettie as, she has to be untouched, she's pure and everything, and
Yes.
but then Celie, oh, she ugly and she this and she all that and stuff. And so
Yes.
I gotta use and abuse her and do all this nasty stuff to her after
Yes,
her mama died.
yes,
But you see, like what the hell happened. at the end,
Yes.
at the funeral and stuff, talking about how did he die? Little old young thing.
Yes.
Oh, stop for
Young.
me. Young, like
See,
some hold on, some like some Kevin Samuel stuff and everything.
oh my good, oh
I
honey, let me
saw this.
tell you.
I had to. I had
Oh,
to. Girl, I had
yes,
to. But he
yes,
got what he got at the end, even though it took
yes.
a long damn time.
It did,
But
but yes, oh honey,
he
he
was a
got
predator.
he was a predator. And this is the thing that I really hate within our communities is that so many times people are willing to sacrifice us girls. That's why
Yeah.
so many of us suffer from so we're sexually assaulted and abused because we sacrificed, and the people don't want you to say nothing about it. They want you to keep the predator safe. You can't tell folks that this is coming from with the, in the house, right? And so then you wonder why when we get out in the world, we don't know how to really function. We have all this trauma that we got to try to reckon with. We carry it into our
Mm-hmm.
relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
it comes from being expendable. It comes from being
Exactly.
expendable. I saw a lady on social media just yesterday said that she passed this older guy talking to this young lady, and she heard a little bit of their conversation. And the dude is
Mm-hmm.
asking the little girl, "How old are you?" And so she said she started to keep walking, but she turned back around and told him, "You too old for her. Leave that baby alone." She said he got angry with her, but she felt compelled to do that. And I feel like we have to stand up to these predators, especially when it comes to our young children. Our
Mm-hmm.
girls, they being sacrificed all the time. And it's like, oh, that's just one girl. Don't that's a good man. That's a good man, Savannah. How they said on Waiting to Accept. That's a good man.
What
But
man?
this man is a predator, and he is sleeping with these babies. He should be in
Mm-hmm.
jail. I don't really care how great a man he is. He needs to be a great man in behind bars. That's what needs to happen, because we
He
can't keep
be
sacrificing our babies. We cannot talking about we gonna ruin his life, and hers is ruined too. If she's able to overcome that, that'll be wonderful. But baby, it's gonna come back up. Unfortunately, it's gonna
yeah.
haunt her forever. So she don't have the chance to get away from it. He should not have the chance to escape punishment himself. So I'm glad that the
Yeah.
stepdaddy died, and I hope he lived a really rough life up till then. How about that?
Yes, yes, because
Yes,
all through it, through the color purple and the book and the movie is a little different and stuff, but it was like mostly how like the black men, and of course back then it was so controversial, like what you trying to say, black men being and all that stuff. It's like, no, you back in those days you already had all this bullshit of racism and oppression going on
yes,
during its time. And
yes,
then all of a sudden, you had these men in these women's lives are doing the same thing, oppressing them and putting
yes,
more trauma and more pain and more
yes,
abuse and then
yes,
you have women that see that, and you got the ones that the pick-me's try to cover it up and everything because
yes.
Cleophas is a good man. You don't need to
Okay.
put him all through all that and everything. But
Yes.
you the one that's suffering.
And
You the
you
one that's
perpetuate,
taking all that
baby.
shit. And you don't have like a
Yes.
safe space to run to somebody.
You
That's what the
don't.
girl,
You
we
don't.
finna have
You
church up.
don't.
I'm Kojic, okay? I grew
Okay.
up in the Kojic,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Tambourine, we
Yes.
gonna be on the
Okay.
Holy Ghost.
Okay. Then the church say amen. Amen. Yes. Okay.
Amen.
It's a terrifying thing. It's really terrifying. And I think that that's a part of the reason why I find such an escape in horror. Because I know how
Mm-hmm.
monstrous real people can be. Like I know the human monsters. Like I've met them, I've been around them, I've gone to school. And at the time that I was in grade school, it's really unfortunate, but like I can't say that the people didn't care about us, but they handled things like
Yeah.
that differently. I remember in high school running around the schoolhouse trying to run from this particular coach because he was very handsy and nobody cared. Like nobody cared. Everybody knew, like even the grown-ups knew, but we just had to run faster than him. Okay. And that's exactly what they would tell us. Just make sure you're running faster than him then so that he can't catch you. And I'm like, see, this is how I grew up, right? I grew up with a little boy snapping your bra straps. They hit you on your bottom and they, oh, he just like you. And I'm so happy that we don't do that anymore because there's no
Right.
kind of way that I'm going to see something. I raise my kids different. You don't have to hug nobody you don't want to hug. This is family included. You don't have
Thank
to.
you.
And so I'm happy to see that we making changes, but too many
Mhm.
times we still feel like our girls are we can just sacrifice them. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I think it is up to us to break that cycle and give these babies agency to live themselves and be able to protect themselves and know, like you say, that they got a safe space to go to. I tell my students all the time, if any of them need something, come talk to me. If I'm not able to do it, I'll go find somebody that can. We'll go to the counselors, we'll go to the administrators, we go to somebody because we got to let our young folks know that
Yeah.
somebody got their back. Because otherwise we just perpetuate this stuff and it just go in cycles, it go in cycles, it go in cycles, and you go, okay, that's not gonna be good. That's not healthy.
Yeah. And it isn't. It isn't. It really isn't. Oh Lord, you just brought me back to like some memories in high school and in
Oh,
junior high. Girl, it was this
yes.
dude. He liked me and I didn't like him. He was just ugly to me.
Uh-huh.
But he just kept hounding me, like, will you go out with
Yes.
me? Will you go out with me? I'm like, no,
Yes.
no, no. So
Yes.
what he did is that he went out with other girls, even though they didn't like him, but he manipulated them.
Yes.
And he thought I was
Oh,
gonna sit there and
yes.
budge and say, oh, let me give him a chance. So we
Right.
got in high school. We was in, I think it was in government and economics class or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And girl, he always had some old dookie dragon smelling stinking breath.
Those be the ones. Ew.
And it's
Ew.
just ugh.
Uh,
So he gonna sit there and talk some hot shit to me, and I'm sitting in front of him.
mm,
And I turned back around. I said, look, you need to calm your breath and everything down and everything, because I'm trying to concentrate, trying to learn this stuff and everything, and you need to shut the hell
okay.
up. And he took a pencil and jabbed it, stabbed me right in here
No. Oh no. Are you serious?
in front of everybody and in front of the teacher. And you know what,
No.
girl? Do you know what happened? My
What?
coach, I, Coach Burkhammer, I love him.
Oh,
He said, Andre, you need to get your butt out of here right now. You need to go to the
oh,
office.
shut
Yes.
up.
He did
Wow.
that. And I was just like, wow, because I rejected you too many times. I'm gonna say this name.
Yes.
I don't care. I don't care about the little
Yes.
raggedy ass thing as it is anyway. He done like you, I
Yes.
rejected you so many times, and then you stabbed
Yes.
me because yes,
Yes.
it's the truth. Your breath been stinking. You ain't trying to stab nobody else in the classroom,
Exactly.
not a
No.
girl or nothing like that, but you had to like do it to me. You had to
To
direct that
you.
violence towards me.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes. How dare you
and
reject him?
and
Yes.
and yes. So years and years later, whenever you trying to function like, okay, that was back in high
Yes.
school, and all that
Sure,
stuff. And
sure.
try to put bygones be bygones. That was like all that right there. So it was twice. He was still trying to holler at me. I said, how
No.
many times I done told your monkey ass I don't want
Seriously.
you. This
Oh,
been 30 years going on. You still Christian
no.
after that shit with your creepy ass.
He
And girl, I did. I
assaulted
put
you. That was attempted
yeah,
murder. He could have hurt
girl.
you real bad for doing that.
He could
Oh
have,
my
but he went to the office.
gosh.
He went to the office. He got in trouble for it.
Well, that's
But
good.
you
That's
know,
good.
but it was like he was still, like trying to. I'm like, it's been 30 years. I don't
No.
want you. I never liked you.
And
You
why would
look
I
like,
want
oh,
you after that?
you look like
Why would I really want you
you
after that?
you look like old home dude off of the Goonies and stuff.
And you're an
Sloth, that's his
abuser.
name, Sloth. Yeah,
Oh,
he's an abuser.
so you a
And
stinky, slothy abuser. And I really want that? I don't think so.
oh,
No, baby.
girl, and he always got mad at all of us. Y'all don't want no dark-skinned man like me and stuff. It's like, no, it's not about you being dark-skinned, honey. Your ass
Exactly.
just ugly. You
You
just
just
ugly, and you
and
have an ugly personality.
you got an ugly spirit. Oh my gosh. Ooh, I
A
hate the
ugly,
fact
a
that
real
you
ugly spirit. But I
oh,
punched him in the face a couple of times and everything else, like
good for
after
you.
school, after
Good for
high
you.
school, because he tried to do some, he tried to
Good for
grab me,
you.
and I said, "Bow!" Just like a
Good for
girl.
you.
I
No,
was just
good for
like,
you. Good for you. Because yes,
"Girl,
when I was in school, we didn't always have those options. And
we
it was
didn't."
one thing if they were our age, right? Like boys,
Hmm.
that's one thing. They shouldn't be getting violent, but they're our age. It was always the grown men that I had the hardest time with. You know, the little boys, you could bite them, kick them, spit on them. Cool. But those grown men, I'm like, why was we having to fight them? Why were we having to fight the coaches and the bus drivers and the teachers? Why were we having to do that? We shouldn't have had to do that.
And I told my kids, of any one of them nasty ass teachers and stuff try to mess with y'all and everything, you let me know. I come up there and I
Exactly.
gonna say, we gonna talk. You know
Oh,
what I'm
they all.
saying?
Oh, honey, yes, because we know what happens, so we protect our kids. And I know my folk, they would say, oh, even some of my family is like, oh, you just so bougie, and you just raise some kids to be all funny acting. I'm gonna tell you what, if they don't want to hug you, they don't have to.
No, they
I'm not
don't.
teaching them to be rude, but nobody is allowed to touch you if you don't want them to. My poor baby, my daughter, when she was in the second grade, she was taller than all the other kids because she grew real fast up front. She came home and
Hmm.
she was upset. It was Christmas time. She says, Mommy, they say Santa Claus is coming to school and we got to take a picture with Santa Claus. And I don't want to stand by Santa Claus. They always put me next to him and he wants to hug me. And I say, you tell them and Santa Claus, your mama said that you ain't got to give him no hug if you don't want to. And don't think she didn't go in that schoolhouse and tell him, and baby, we ain't heard nothing else from Santa Claus or that school. You hear me? I have taught them, raised them, don't nobody get to touch you without your permission. And I will back you
Right.
up every time from that, every single time. And so I like to believe that we help them to have more agency than we had because we couldn't. I mean, you
Yeah.
know what? That they know that the bus driver. There was a little lady when I was in middle school, an
Hmm.
older student, and oh, she was so beautiful. I see her face in my head. She was so beautiful. We wonder why. I wonder why we always have to wait on her after school. Like the whole bus be filled up and we be waiting on her. She wouldn't come till the bus was already filled up. Well,
Hmm.
unfortunately, I got out of my last class early one day and I figured out why she was always last. It's because when you on that bus by yourself with that bus driver, the bus driver tries to come onto you. So she had already learned and when I was in school, in middle school, we still had ninth grade with the seventh and eighth grade school. So she was a ninth grader and I was a seventh grader. And the next time she came on that bus, our eyes met and we just knew. She just knew what the situation was. And I'm like, this girl had to come to the bus after everybody else was on there because of this. I hate that that's how I found this. I mean, thankfully he didn't do anything. He only talked, but it was just the principle. Why are you coming on to me? I'm a seventh grader. I'm a seventh grader. She's only a ninth grader. This is why she
Hmm.
never came to the bus early. And I never did either after that. You're going to wait on both of us. Okay, you're gonna wait on all of us now because I see what's going on here. But it was a terrible thing. And so, when I think about how much I love being a woman and I love being a black woman and I love all of this stuff, I'm like, yeah, but the road here wasn't quite smooth, baby. we done had some bumps and things and such. And so, I mean, but we still here. We still here. And
Yeah.
so now I got to tell these stories of these women that, because some of us didn't make it out of there, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk for those women too. We need to tell these stories. I mean, and horror is just a good vehicle because you can have fun too, though. Like I
Oh
had this
yeah.
bad habit. I had this bad thing about eating folks. I was like, if I was a monster, I would just eat you. I don't like you though. I would eat you up though, just to keep you from talking.
Nyam, 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 nyam. Shut up.
Okay. That's how you shut up, right? And I mean, and so when you read some of my stories, you kind of go, man, what is this she got with eating folks? That's the only thing I can think of. If I was a monster, that's what I would do with my monster powers. I would eat up the folks that
Oh,
I'm tired of
dear.
listening to. Oh,
Oh,
goodness.
snap.
I would. I have this thought sometimes. I'd be like, man, too bad my mouth is only so big. It's big, but it ain't big enough to eat nobody up. And I'd be like, oh, but if I was a monster, you be the first one I would get. Just cause you just don't need to play no more.
Oh, dear.
And where else can we
Oh,
do this but in the horror genre? Where else can we do that, right?
exactly, exactly. Horror has no bounds, no limits, no nothing. It's
Right.
just it's limitless. So,
Right.
what is your favorite horror film? Your favorite horror genre? It could be subgenre, whatever like that. What's your favorite?
Oh, okay, so see that's kind of because I watch everything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I especially love historical horror. I
Okay.
just really do. It's just something about that. So like give me, the Dracula from the Gothic time. Give me Crimson Peak. Give me the Wolf Man. Like, oh my gosh, that's my all-time favorite. But I watch everything. I watch everything. And so my favorite horror movie though, I would have to say some days it changes, but today
Mm-hmm.
is still The Thing, from the 1982 version. Oh my goodness, would I say it was terrifying, but it was terrifying in that kind of, I was already terrified because they stuck in this ice and snow. And being from southern Texas, I don't know nothing about no snow. I don't know nothing about no snow, baby. And so snow is terrifying to me. That's why the story come from in my collection with the girl getting, disappeared by the snow, because I don't do snow
Mm-hmm.
at all. So it was scary already that they stuck in all this snow and ice. Then you gonna put them there with this alien, which that's already terrifying. But on top of that, you mean it could look like us too? Are you kidding me? For real? And you could only burn this thing? Really? Really? How come it could be killed by ice, right?
That's one of my favorite from John Carpenter is The Thing.
Yes,
But I'm gonna
yes,
tell you this. Okay, so when John Carpenter actually did that, it's actually a remake because that
yes,
was
it is.
from the 1955
The
or
50s,
56.
uh-huh. It was a
Yeah, the with
1950s movie.
it was The Thing from Beyond Outer Space or something like that. I probably just messed up the
Uh-huh.
title. Girl, that one was scary, just like The Thing,
It
and it was
was.
from the 50s. You
It
talking
was.
about that little it
Yes.
was a menace. It's a menace. I'm sitting there with the covers and
Yes.
stuff. Come on. Oh, girl, gets me right here.
Yes. Yes. I love those 40s and 50s. And even when you can find them from the 30s, I love those horror movies. Oh my God. Because there was just something special about the way they
Mm-hmm.
built up all the tension. And I know that the
Mm-hmm.
special effects, like just they were not the best. I mean, they didn't have CGI and all that. But I still find the
Right.
movies like The Blob. That is terrifying to me. You got this big old thing
Mhm.
that's just oozing and eating up everything. See, I got this thing about people getting ate up. You're eating up everything and everybody, and you all gooey. That is horrifying.
It is, but
I
yeah,
love those
that
movies.
child, but that 50s one was tough, and it was based in Alaska. Yeah, they didn't
Yes,
have CGI and all that stuff, but it
yes,
was the way how they build the ambiance, the pacing,
yes,
just everything, and killed a lot more people in the 50s version
yes,
too.
yes. Oh
That's
my
what got
gosh.
me right there. I said, "Oh
Yes.
shit!"
Oh, it was so
I'm
I
gonna fight.
loved it. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love those movies. I sit and watch them. I mean, even now when I can catch them and find somebody that's playing them. I just recently rewatched Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the first one.
Uh,
And I
oh,
mean, when I say so creepy every time. And then I watched the one with Donald Sutherland, and it's still just as creepy.
oh, you have Veronica, Cartwright and everything. She called his
Yes,
name. Girl,
yes,
I like to had cried when I was a little girl when I seen it. It was scary as heck. But
yes.
when they got him, girl, my heart was
Oh,
broken. I was
yes.
crying
Oh my
because I
gosh.
was like, Donald
Yes.
Sutherland is our hero, and he got
Yes.
got.
And he got. And and the first one, when I start getting really sad, is when the guy, the doctor realizes that they got his girlfriend. I was like, oh, I'm
Oh,
sad because he really wanted her. He really cut for her, and she got by the monsters, and that's so sad.
it is. It was sad, but I like the
Yes.
one with Donald Sutherland. Of course, you had Leonard Nimoy and like Jeff
Uh-huh.
Goldblum. They had a real good cast, but I liked
Yes.
it that it was filmed in San Francisco, and I used to go to
Uh-huh.
San Francisco a lot, and so that part of Donald Sutherland, like at the end with Veronica Cartwright, and that was like filmed like at City Hall,
Uh-huh.
around in that little
Yep.
pavilion area. And when I
Yes.
seen it, I was
Yes.
like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "This haven't even changed. This is like the." I was
Yes.
like, "Oh wow!" But it was like
Oh,
so
I
unique
love it.
because you see like all the streets they was at and running around and stuff, and you're like,
Yes.
damn, I've been on that street, I've been on Market Street, I've been on
Yes.
Bush, I've been like in Chinatown, I've been da 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 da. You
Exactly.
just like you get so excited because
Yes.
you now like a movie that you love and scared the crap out of you, and you've been to the
Yes.
place where they filmed it at. You just like it just makes it just more just oh just phenomenal for you. It really
Exactly.
does. It
Exactly.
really
It
does.
does. It does.
Okay, we're gonna have like some trivia questions. This is my little random horror questions and everything. I'll be asking folks. It can be
Okay.
from music to movies to like any old thing. It could be silly and dumb and stuff. But I just like to be random as usual, like I
I
usually
like
am.
random. Yes, I like random.
Okay. Now this is gonna be film. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So you since you love some horror and everything, I want to
Yes.
make sure
Yes.
you know about this and everything. So let's go ahead with this one right here. Loretta Devine is the unsung and the overshadowed black final girl in the horror crime film from 1998 and its sequel in 2000.
Oh goodness. Okay, see, wait, because I thought we was going with spell. Because I'm like, oh yeah, okay, but I don't think she counted as the final girl if she was also the monster, so that don't count. I feel like she was the was she a police officer? See, I just saw her in how men yeah, uh I cannot put my finger on it. I would say Scream, but it's not Scream. She was a police officer. I know she was a Jeepers Creepers. It was I can't
No,
get
no,
it. I can't put my fingers
I'm
on
gonna
it.
give you a I'm gonna give you a hint.
Okay.
It had the Noxzema girl on there. remember back in the day, you had Rebecca Gayheart. She was the Noxzema girl, but she was in this film. It's
Oh,
actually these films are based on.
it's urban legend. That's urban legend.
Yes,
Yes, I'm like, I
yes,
just saw this. It was just on my TV. There we go. Okay, okay.
yes.
Yes.
Urban Legends
Was
and
it
Urban
Officer?
Legends
Like,
too.
yes. Yes.
She
Okay.
was,
Woo!
yeah, she
But
was actually the final black girl in
she
these
really,
movies, but
she really was.
she was overshadowed. And but with us, we like, oh my god, please don't let old girl
Yes.
from away to
She
exhale and
made it.
everything to get hurt.
Yes.
We just like because we don't see too much of us like lasting through the whole damn movie.
Yes, it's always still so exciting to me. And then I watch something like The Blackening, and I'm like, so most of them made it. I was so excited about that. I didn't know what to
Yes,
do.
yes. All right, I have another one for you. This is movie trivia.
Okay, okay.
Oh, set in the bayous of Louisiana. This 1997 film portrays an affluent black family with secrets and horror in the eyes of a 10-year-old girl.
Okay, that's Eve's Bayou, baby. That's one of my favorites, and I use that in my academic talks a lot too. When we start talking about Black femininity, oh my gosh, have always been in awe of the Black Widow character. The lady Debbie is her name, Debbie Morgan.
Yeah,
Um,
Debbie Morgan, Deborah
yeah,
Morgan.
Debbie
Yeah,
Morgan.
all my
I
all my
love
children.
her. Yes, and I remember her from All My Children, and I love her so much, and I love her in that, and I feel so bad for her, and I always have
Mm-hmm.
wanted to write a story, not, of course, based on her character, but based on a woman like her, because I feel like
Yes,
so many times, as Black women, we don't get to mourn and grieve in the ways that we would want to. And I always felt so bad for her, like she felt like it was all her fault, and it's not.
mm-hmm.
And so I love Eve's Bayou. I love it, love it, love it. Love it.
Yeah, yes, that was a really good film. Especially you had um, dang, what's that girl name? Dang, I just watched that dang movie and stuff. My aunt, she showed me that Tyler Perry, and I'm like, I
Yes,
ain't
yes,
big on
yes.
Tyler
Oh
Perry
yes,
movies.
yes, Megan
Megan
Good.
Good,
Yeah,
yeah,
Megan
she's
Good.
really
Yes,
good. She's really good
she,
in horror. Also,
she is
she's a
really good
great
at
actress.
horror. She really
She's a
is.
great actress.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
my aunt made me watch that movie. I said, I don't like these Tyler Perry movies. And the beginning of that movie, like 5 minutes into it, I said,
Yes.
whoa, what is this mess right here?
Yes.
But
I did not think he was going there, and because my husband told me to watch it. It was better than I thought it was going to be,
I,
especially because of that opening. Yep.
it was that opening, but it also showcased and highlight country Southern black
Yes,
people like us.
it did, like us. Oh my God. And it was, and this is something that I don't get used to saying about these movies. Like, he's got his audience, and don't get me wrong, for entertainment, it's cool sometimes, but I really liked what he did in helping this woman understand that you cannot want something for somebody they don't want for themselves. You cannot save somebody who does not want to be saved. And I feel like that made me feel so good. And it's like, well, because you're a creepy girl and you just like when creepy stuff happens. Well, yeah, that too. But I love the way that she gained her own sense of agency. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate that sometimes you have to do those kind of things, but hey, it worked. That's what that would happen. And she might really, at least she will go on to live the kind of life that she wants to live. You just cannot save
Right.
everybody. And I think a lot of times too, as Black women, we fall into that because we start at home. We're trying to save our parents, our siblings, our uncles and cousins, and everybody else. And so sometimes you can't save people. Sometimes
You
it's not
can.
meant for them to be saved. It's not meant for
Thank
them to
you.
be saved. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Cause girl, that whole and the way how he was treating her, baby, I
Yes.
was getting I was getting PTSD. I told my aunt,
Oh,
I'm gonna throw some at this TV screen because she
yes.
was like, "Well, you watch horror movies." I said, "But this right here, I
This
have
is life
actually
art.
been
Yes.
in something like this when
Yes.
I was married. That's the
Yes.
difference."
Exactly.
That's
Oh
the
my
reason why
gosh.
it was getting me triggered. And I was
Yes.
like, I don't like this. I don't like this, because I
Yeah.
was like, that is the one part of my life I don't want to relive. And
Exactly.
then, and I think that's what some people just don't understand just because it's a movie and this is the fictitious characters. But guess what? Some of that stuff has happened to people in real
It
life. And
yes,
that's the
it
reason
does.
why I was ready to chunk something at the TV
Yes.
screen, break her shit up
Oh
and
my
everything
goodness.
else.
Yes, I really could appreciate the way that she evolved, right? Like the way that she
Mm-hmm.
actually went into herself. I love
Mm-hmm.
that she had loving parents who she could go to, like
Yes,
we're talking about Debbie Morgan. I love that because so many times we don't have, that mama and that daddy, but she had a loving mother and father who not only loved each other, but they loved her. And so that she was able to heal because she had this support. And I was like, I like this one better than I like a lot of
I
them. I did. I really
yes.
did. I think that it showed a little bit of. I know a lot of people give it a hard time on social media, and I mean, think what they will about Tyler Perry. Like I say, he's got his audience and he knows how to play to it. But I did see some growth in his writing, in his storytelling through this story. So I mean, I had to give him kudos. I actually saw some growth in that.
I am not a Tyler Perry fan. I mean, because there's one or two movies that I like, but the rest of them just like you just
Yeah,
throw away and
yeah.
ball into the trash and everything else. But this one right here, I was like, you know what? I
Yes,
say I'm gonna give him some grace on this because he really
yes.
did hit the nail on the dot with
He
this
really did.
film. He really did. And baby, Richard Lawson and everything with portraying her
Oh,
daddy and stuff. Baby, I
right.
was like, well, I said, what I needed that. I said, you know what? That remind me of my
Okay.
big daddy right there. That said, that's big daddy right. That's
See,
my grandpa, big daddy right there. I said, back girl, I
exactly.
was dancing. Girl, I got up and started
Exactly.
dancing. She's like,
Yes.
what's wrong with you? I said, baby, her look at her daddy. I said, she got a good mama. And I said, but
Yes.
that daddy right there. I said,
And
baby,
yes.
he know what to do. He
Oh,
know he
honey,
trust. I
cause
was like,
cause we all don't have a good daddy, baby. I'm here to tell you. I was really glad about that. I was so glad about
I
that
love
because
that.
it also shows that you can be raised a certain way and you can still be broken in certain kinds of ways. Like, but
Mm-hmm.
you can heal. You can heal. You can start the road to doing something different. And so I was like, you know what? Go on, Mr. Perry. I watched that when I was on the plane ride on my way to Louisville the other weekend, like just recently. And I was like, go on then. I can see I appreciate that. As a fellow creative, I can appreciate when we can grow within our and tell a
Mm-hmm.
little bit different kind of story. So I really
Yes.
appreciated that he branched out and was doing something a little bit different. I like that. I love that.
I like that too. And I was just like, wow, I'm like, okay, okay. We need to see more growth from you, Mr. Perry.
Yes,
Okay. I'm
yes.
talking to you, Mr.
Yeah.
TP.
Yes, but and they did come a little close to home, but I had to let that make it. I was like, ooh, flashbacks. Ooh, no. Ooh, oh my gosh.
Yes,
Oh no, no,
yes,
no.
yes,
Oh honey,
yes.
but we have been delivered from those
Delivered.
times. We've been delivered from those times, and life is good now.
All right. This gonna be a goofy next one and everything. Girl, which cereal is delicious? Fruit Loops or Captain Crunch?
Listen, I have never been able to like Captain Crunch. I just don't know what it is about it. When my kids will just suck it down, I'll be like, ew, oh my, Fruit Loops all day long. Fruit Loops all day long. I cannot get with the
See, that's the
Captain.
reason why I like you. Fruit
Yes,
Loops.
I just can't do it. But Fruit Loops, I would eat that. If we have it, I would eat that.
I used to not like Fruit Loops because that was the only thing, girl. We had post toast. You know how them old folks. You got
Oh
them
yeah, yeah,
post
yeah.
toast,
Oh
and
yes,
you
yes.
get
The
and
toasty
you get the
old True Lose.
Fruit Loops, and some. Frosted Flakes, you
Always.
know,
We always had cornflakes and frosted flakes.
girl, the cornflakes, frosted flakes, and then they get a little bit. Okay, we're gonna spend just a little bit and let them have a little bit of fun with it. We just go
Uh-huh.
get some Fruit Loops. So
Yes,
I
yes,
never did like
yes.
the Fruit Loops, and then when I got older, baby, I love me
Uh-huh.
some Fruit Loops now.
Yes, because there's some cereals that just don't taste good. And I mean, Captain Crunch to me have always been one of them kind. I can't. Old, young, I just can't get with it. So no. So I think Fruit Loops is a way better than a lot of some of them cereals they have available.
Yes, and Captain Crunch, girl, you tear your whole roof of your mouth, your
You know,
esophagus, and your teeth,
exactly.
and
They
the
too
enamel,
crunchy.
the,
It's
the
almost
the
like it's
enamel off your
plastic.
teeth is
Yes, I
gone.
swear they made out of plastic. And it tastes right like that too. I mean, I cannot get with Captain Crunch. I never have been like, no thanks, I pass. No thanks.
No crunch berries, all that. Not no was it like fruity pebbles and stuff? Girl, that stuff gets soggy and
No,
nasty.
no,
Ooh.
no, 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 no,
I,
no, 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 no.
fruit Fruit Loops forever. I will
They
roll with.
hold
I'm a
up.
ride or die with Fruit Loops.
Yeah, they hold up pretty good. They hold up pretty good.
They they do. They do. Oh, well, I enjoyed you, and you are so lovely. Cause I'm every woman is
Everyone.
falling wonder. Anything you want now,
Everything you want
baby.
now, baby. I do
It's
it
so nasty.
naturally. Oh,
Whoa,
oh,
whoa,
oh, whoa, whoa.
whoa, whoa. Ooh, ooh.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
So
so happy. I'm so happy that we met. And I hope that we can talk. We can keep talking off air, like at different times. I just need to be able to hit you up and be like, hey, girl, what you doing, girl?
okay, girl. All right.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
let everybody know where they can find you, where they can get your latest copy of your works, anything else like that. I know I put your Hell Has No blah, that is a long title. Hell Has No Sorrow Like a Woman Haunted in the ticker and everything. We can find it on Amazon. But
Uh-huh.
let my wonderful spookies out there tell me where they can find you, get your books and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, so you can find me mostly on social media lurking about. I don't say a whole lot because folks don't know how to act all the time. So I don't talk to everybody. I just talk to my people and my people that I know and like. But I'm on social media, usually from at R Jackson Joseph. That's pretty much all of them. I think on TikTok I'm at R Jackson Garcia though, because I kind of
Mhm.
messed up when I did that, but it's okay. It's okay. I do have a website, RhondaJacksonJoseph.com. So you can kind of go look at all the books. They're available on Amazon and a whole lot of independent bookstores. So like if you have indie bookstores by you, please go buy my books from them because we need them to be around for a long time. We got to support them.
Exactly. And that's the reason why I love bringing independent, like, you know, writers like you and authors
Yes.
because y'all bring us into your worlds that you create. And it's not all about, well, they're not so popular like such and such and this famous person there. I was like, well, how you think that famous person got the way how they got to? They had
Exactly.
to do their grind too and everything else. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
And not
Exactly.
and not in and everybody can be an author, not in and everybody can be a writer and everything else like that.
Sure.
But I always tell everybody, like, independent authors, it doesn't matter what genre, you know check them out. They
Yes,
need our support
please.
and everything else because this ain't no booty butt thing. This is not, well, he, this is a hobby and stuff like that.
Right.
This is your work. This is your passion. This is your
Yes.
creativity, your blood, sweat,
Yes.
tears, not boogers, booty sweat, all that
Right.
shit
All
right
that.
there.
All
Okay.
of that. Okay. All of
All
it.
of that right there.
All of that. It is all of that. And I thank you for doing what you do to bring us on, talk to us, introduce us to your audience, engage with our work. I mean, this is wonderful. Like, I'm so happy that you are part of our horror village. I'm so happy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I mean, I'm independent little podcast and, chugging along from good old East Texas and everything else. And,
Yes,
I mean, shoot, we all in it to winning and stuff. We got to
yes,
congratulate each other. We got to support each other no
we
matter
do.
what
We
and
do.
everything.
We
Even
do.
if, even if we lose touch or whatever like that, but hey, you always gonna be on my mind and stuff. I know people think she
Yes.
forgot. I'm like, shit, I got life stuff, but I haven't forgot about it.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. Yes. We're besties now. We're besties. So we gotta stay in touch like besties. That's what we gotta do. Yes. How the kids do. Oh, the
Yes.
kids do that the little other heart. Like, I want to get it one day. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, look, this is what we do. This is our generation. They do the fingers, and I'm like, ew, how do we do? Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go ask the kids. I'll be like, how you do that? Show me. Oh, okay. I'll do that one next time.
Oh Lord. Well,
Goodness.
you made me act all good and stuff, and I did a little bit of cursing and stuff. But thank you
It's
so
okay.
much
We
for
grown
being here.
folks.
I really do appreciate it. And everybody, you can go check RJ Josephs out at her socials, Amazon, pick her book up, read it, just have a ball with it, put in a good review at Amazon, Goodreads, wherever that her books are published at, wherever website she at and everything. Put in a good review and everything. Let her know that you appreciate her works. And that's
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna be appreciating the hell out of her works too and everything else. It might gonna snatch me bald head and everything. I done already cut my hair, so I ain't got that much going on. But hey, we
It's
gotta
okay.
support Pope.
Yes.
We gotta
Thank
support
you.
Pope.
Thank
So
you. You working it.
you're
Thank you.
welcome. And I am Keisha Lacey, and this is the Random Horror Show.